So you guys can talk about that and how you want to work it out, but let me talk about this mic system first. If you hold the microphone just like I'm holding it and you can hear it reverberate in the room, it'll be great for the people out there because they can hear you. And the microphone system is hooked to the Zoom, so everybody at home will hear you. But as soon as you do this, nobody's going to hear anything that you have to say. So it's hard to think about that because you quite often the habit is to do this, or I don't want to hear myself like that. That's the natural tendency when you're on camera. But I encourage you all to hold it like this if you want to be heard. With that, I'll turn it over.
Okay, they didn't like my example. I said, pretend you're Gene Simmons. If you can lick it, it's close enough. If you're not, you are not going to be heard. Now you know why they didn't like my example. Yeah, no. That is not a good political tactic. Nope. Yeah, just a little, give yourself just a little bit closer. Yeah, so if you get just a little closer and you'll see yourself. We do have a lot of people who are not able to attend, so they'll be watching it on Zoom. So we just want to make sure that you get the exposure on Zoom.
It reflects the counsel that I think many of us, you know.
Yep.
I think that's a fair thing to put forward as a thought.
Yep. Unfortunately, it doesn't work as well on camera. So.
Remember, 30 seconds, right? Okay. And opening is 1 minute. Opening is close the door. Oh, this way.
One to start with, one opening and 2 for closing.
Well, yeah.
Zoom. It's on a Zoom link, a public Zoom link. So we did put it, if you have your phone and you have your Facebook, it's on the Santaquin Community News Facebook. If you have a Facebook page you want to share that to, then everyone you know, all of your followers can do that real quick. I think we're actually. Okay. Okay, so we appreciate those of you who could cut out with us tonight, and we appreciate those watching on Zoom, but we especially appreciate our candidates. I remember in junior high having a civics teacher that told me, you cannot complain about any government you don't participate in. And so we want you all to know that we appreciate your willingness to participate in the process and in making our community better. So we're going to start with 1-minute introductions, and we'll start here and you can just pass the mic on down.
Thank you. My name is Jody Reed. I'm a mayoral candidate, and it's wonderful to be here tonight. As far, even closer. Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm getting mic instruction here. Thank you, Ben. I am running because I want to do what's right. I want to fix things that I see as different problems in Santaquin, and I think they need to be addressed. And so some people, it's interesting, as I've pointed out difficulties, problems, things that are challenges in our community, some people have viewed that as a negative thing, but I see the way we fix problems is by addressing them, not burying our heads in the sand. And so I am here to do what we can to chart a course for the future for Santaquin that reflects the will of the residents.
I'm Dan Olson. I'm running for mayor of Santaquin. I'm a lifelong resident, retired, and looking forward to every minute that I can spend helping this city and the people in the city. Everybody that wants an issue, I want to act on it immediately. My whole intent is to be able to serve, be able to find the issues beyond those that I know need to be addressed and work on them. I want to put my heart into it to help those that are working, not necessarily developers or things like that. I want to bring in businesses. I want to bring in the way in which our forefathers wanted this town to grow. And I've spoken with a lot of people, a lot of farmers even, and I want to work with them to make their vision happen.
My name is Jeff Siddoway. I'm running for city council, one of the 2 open seats. I've decided to run because over the past, I don't know, 8 or 10 years or so, since I've really started paying attention to how the city's running and how it's working and how it's growing. And I, along with a lot of my friends and neighbors and other people who are, residents of Santaquin, not necessarily who live right next to me, but all throughout the town, we've had similar ideas and concerns about how the city is growing and how we can, focus that better and have a better vision for the town. And so I'm just trying to represent their voices along with my own and see if we can just do things better for us and give us a future that we all would like to see.
My name is Michael Waite, and I'm running for one of the open city council positions. And the reason I'm running for that position is I want to give back to this community that has given my family so much. And we haven't lived here our entire lives. We moved here about 6 years ago, but being able to take my boys to the rec ball games and being able to enjoy this community that we live in has meant a lot to me. We are right in the sweet spot. It's like when you watch the movie Field of Dreams and you see them sitting out there watching the baseball game going on. When I was sitting out with my boys watching them play baseball, I was so grateful to live in a community where I could look out into the sunset and see the sprinklers running and be able to watch the game and be a part of a community like what I grew up in. And I want to help that community to continue on in that same way.
Good evening. My name is Betsy Montoya. I currently serve on city council and am running for re-election to city council. The reason that I decided to run again, and I spent many months contemplating the decision, is for people. There are a lot of hard things in serving for any level of government, but especially at the local level, because local government matters. Local government makes a difference in our daily lives. It makes a difference in the lives of the people who live here. And while we are dealing with challenges, and there are many, there are so many countless good, amazing, positive things happening in our city. And I feel very humbled to have played a little part of that the last several years and hope to be able to continue. Thank you.
I'm Art Adcock. I'm a candidate for one of the 2 vacant seats on the city council. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce and Michelle Lyons for scheduling this 3rd Meet the Candidate night. Thank you for being here and interested enough to arrange your schedules to be here tonight. My 23-year career with the Utah County Sheriff's Office has taught me many valuable life lessons in dealing with a varied number of unpredictable situations. Driving a school bus with 4-year-olds for Head Start has taught me how to love and to be kind. I'm experienced in city government, having previously served on the city council and by currently serving on the planning commission. But my best asset is my wife, Sherry. I'm glad that she's here tonight with me. I'm an honest, dedicated, get things done, hard worker. I feel that I'm well prepared and therefore qualified to serve on the city council. I would welcome and appreciate your vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now we have questions that were submitted and that we've randomly selected some of those questions. So each of the candidates will have a chance to answer these questions, and we'll take turns where we start so that everyone gets an equal and fair opportunity. Candidates, watch Michelle. She'll be timing your responses so that everyone has the same amount of time. So here's our first question. What ideas do you have to get more residents involved in the city?
That's a $64 million question. Look at the crowd here tonight. I think by just making ourselves more available as members of the city council, letting people know how they can get in touch with us by text or email or coming by our home where we live, by having a public forum, if you will, just, hey, why don't you come on down to the city park and let's sit and talk and share your concerns with me. Let me know what your thoughts are. I feel like there are people that have expectations of me as I run for city council and hopefully serve there. But I don't know what those expectations are. I need to hear from the citizens of Santaquin. I need to have them more involved in letting me know what changes they'd like to see made and how we can improve the great city that we live in.
This is a very important issue, not only in Santaquin, but across our state and our nation. We know that we need people to get involved, especially in their local communities, to make their voices heard and to contact their elected leaders at every level. And I have had my cell phone number and my email published the entire time I've been in office. I have received a great number of phone calls and emails and text messages and people showing up at the house. And I respond to every single one, and we may not always agree, but I listen and I ask follow-up questions and I respond and I tell them the truth. I give them accurate information. And as far as doing more to get people involved, this is a balance of rights and responsibilities, just like citizenship in this country. It's a balance of rights and responsibilities. The citizens have rights. They also have responsibilities to hold on to the freedom that we enjoy. And we can't force any resident to take their responsibilities and take advantage of their rights by being responsible and using those rights. We can't force participants to attend meetings or show up to events or contact us, even though I make myself available. And so it is a delicate balance for sure.
So the question of how we can help people to be more involved, I think the city does some things that are really good in being able to get the information out. They've revamped the webpage. They're striving to make some changes there to make the information more accessible. They've got the newsletter, and a lot of people I've heard are complaining that they're not hearing things or not getting the information that they want. So I guess I would continue doing what I've been doing, and that's say, hey, do you know about resource A, B, C? And if you do, and it's not getting to you, how would you like to see that information get to you? How can the city improve? And then if there's ways to improve that the city can implement that will help the majority of our citizens, I would like to bring that forth and hopefully help implement those answers that would help those people get the information that they need. What those answers are, it depends on the person. Some people are Facebook only people. Some people like to have a text. Some people want to have you come knock on their door and say, hi, hey, did you know that such and such is happening? But I think we need to take a good hard look at what's already going on and then listen to those people who feel like they're not getting the information that they need.
All right, this is kind of a tough question because you can't force the residents to do anything they don't want to do. Unfortunately, it seems like those who are involved and trying to participate and trying to make their voices heard, they're the ones who are upset with what the city does. They hear something that they don't like and then they react. The city website has had contact information for every city, every department leader, all the city council members, everything is there on the website. And if they're not taking advantage of it now, me being in office isn't going to magically change that. They're not going to just all of a sudden decide, yes, I'm going to contact Jeff because he's the guy now. But what I have been doing over the past few years is being very active, talking to my neighbors one-on-one. I've been on Facebook. I know not everyone is on Facebook. That's obvious, but trying to get as much contact with as many people as possible and letting them know what's happening in the city. Because they usually never know until it's already too late. The city council's already taken a vote on something and then, well, now they're just upset. I've been in that boat for many years. And so it's just a matter of publicizing it more, whether it's online or door to door, or if we have some kind of text system that we can set up, as Mike said, that's probably the best way we can handle it. Just get more people involved by spreading the word better.
I know all of you know that I love to golf. And so I get on the freeway and head south. There is nobody in this room or throughout Santaquin that doesn't know what's going on in Juab unless they can't read. Every sign as you're going down tells you about what's coming up at the rodeo grounds, what concert they're going to have, when the rodeos will be or the parades or what's happened at Little Sahara. But the best thing is this electronic signboard about a mile or 2 miles before you get off on their north exit that tells you everything that's going on. Now this, I think, had been brought up before, and I thought, what a wonderful thing. Why don't we have an electronic signboard that we could put out there and people could read it as they're coming off the freeway, and they could understand, hey, they're voting on new dog ordinance. There's nothing worse than dog ordinances, at least from years ago when I was in the council, because you could fill up the room. You could fill up this hall if you changed the price of a dog tag. So we need to be able to reach people. And I think everything that's been said is exactly right. Use every form of media that you can, but maybe take a little control with people that are a little bored waiting for the stoplight to change and they can read it. Thank you.
I think a lot of really good ideas have been expressed, but we certainly need to be doing more. There is currently no two-way public forum of communication in our city. We need quarterly town halls where citizens can come and they can speak their minds and they can share their concerns. We need public communication. We were doing a lot better in city meetings for a while because during COVID, emailed public comments were read into the public record. That was huge, but the current mayor and council have eliminated that option. We had something that was working. We had something that was helping citizens to be more involved, and the current officials shut it down. I think that's appalling, and I think we need to look at these things. If things work, we need to continue, and we need to do more. It's a critical thing for our city. One of the things that I've done is to summarize city meetings on Facebook for over a year now, and that's helped a lot. And so we've gotten a lot of good citizen participation because of that, but we can do more and we can help people who aren't on Facebook. One of the things that anyone in the city can do, and I will continue this no matter what happens after the election, is that at friendsofsantaquin@gmail.com, you can sign up to electronically receive those summaries by email.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is your vision for the development of open space in our community?
2 in a row, lucky me. I think that's kind of an open question. Development of open space, is this city owned? Is this part of other developments? Yeah, I wish there were a little more detail. If the person that asked that is in the audience, please speak up. But I think we definitely need more parks. We need to enhance the trail system in the city, which is like kind of non-existent. The biggest marked trail on the current plan is the Highline Canal Trail, which is plastered with no trespassing signs. I think that's one of those things. We have a lot of problems where things are represented in a way that doesn't reflect the reality for people. So I think open space is really critical, especially we need to make sure that in developments, we allow for more open space and more parking. In some of these higher density developments, the parking is totally inadequate, even though the city has upped it a notch from what it was before. And the open space for the little kids and the older children who are growing up in these crowded, higher density developments, I think it's a travesty that they don't have more space to be outdoors and to enjoy the beautiful area that they live in.
I love open space, and I love places where the children can play. And especially in this day and age, we have so many kids that ride mountain bikes. We don't have a lot of mountain bike trails, but it would amaze you if you would take a hike on the bench and find out how many trails have just been built up there. Now, I met with the state months ago, and they have trail cats and things like that at the disposal that you can team with them and build trails. That's what Payson did up in their Forebay area, which brings people to just ride their bikes, where our youth can ride bikes, where grownups can too. That's only one thing. The other thing is we get a lot of money from developers that go towards open spaces. Is that money being used in the parks? Are we developing those parks to the extent that we need to and can be used? One of the people I talked to that works in the city said, oh, little tiny parks are just hard to maintain. I wish they would make them a little bit bigger. Novel idea. Make a little bit bigger park if that's what everybody would like to see. Put them in areas where they can be used, but make sure that we're here for the kids, here for the youth, here for the adults.
All right, it is kind of a complicated question. Like Jody said, it depends on who owns that property. Is it open space that the city owns? In that case, yeah, I'd like to see parks developed and something for youth, teenagers, adults to go spend an evening with or spend the day in their summer, something that they can go and relax and play in. If it's just open space that's not being used, but someone actually owns it, that's where the city needs to get involved a little bit more. That's where the zoning comes in place. Right now, that kind of land, I would like to see properly zoned so that we can grow the city responsibly. Larger single family lots, so the people can come in. If it's close to farmland that's actively being used, much larger lots with maybe some animal rights. So people can come in, have a horse or their chickens or goats or whatever they want next to the farmland that's not going to interrupt the farm workings. It's a complex question. I need to know more specifics, exactly what land they're talking about, but there are many ways to attack all the problems, and there's a way to build up the city and develop it properly so that it is a benefit to all, not just those who own the land or want to sell it off.
So someone said something about mountain biking, and that's near and dear to my heart, but it wouldn't be up to me, it'd be up to the city. And when I say the city, that's the citizens of our city. What do they want to see? That's what I'd want to know. Are we doing a good job with what we've got already? What changes would they want to make? Like I say, if it was up to me, I'd like to get with the BLM or whoever's in charge of the wildlands around here and make some trails, but I know they don't like that. I've asked them several times and they've kind of shot me down on a private level, and I'm going to keep niggling at that until I get a good answer. But, you know, like I said earlier, I loved watching my boys play baseball. I love seeing the families go down and play soccer. I love all of those type of events that we can have here in Santaquin. And I'd love to see them continue. But when it boils down to it, like I said before, I'd want to know what Santaquin wants. And I'd want to help them to realize those goals, to be able to help their families to do the activities that they want.
I love this question. Part of the reason I love this question is because of the exciting things we have going on right now that relate to this question. So what we're already doing, we got a grant this year of $50,000 to complete an active transportation master plan. $50,000 was given to us because our community services director applied for that money, and we are using that to gather resident feedback. So we need resident feedback in order to help that plan progress. It's going to be based on whatever feedback we receive from residents. So you can contact the city if you want to have the link to the survey, or it's also been published on Facebook, if you're on Facebook. So active transportation includes trails, mountain biking, street biking, all of those types of things, and I'm excited about that. The other thing that I'm really excited about is what used to be a soccer field behind the museum, the potential for that and keeping that open green space in our city. I'm really excited about some of the ideas that the Utah State students designed for us. That's a great foundation to go off of for that space. Open green space in the core is very precious. It is a finite and limited resource that we need to preserve.
Okay. Developing and using open spaces is definitely just a matter of the free marketplace. It depends on the demand for the use and how it's going to be used. That most effectively is accomplished by proper zoning. If the land is zoned properly, then it will be developed properly. So the challenge is for the Planning Commission and the City Council to relook at the zoning in town, make sure that we have the areas in town zoned properly so that we have the opportunity to put the kind of growth in the particular place of town that we want to have it in. Then the free marketplace will take care of the development.
All right, thank you guys. So our next question is, we all have our own beliefs and feelings. As a candidate, if elected, how will you set your own beliefs aside on issues and vote based on how your constituents are wanting you to? And if not, why? What is your belief on how that should be handled? So, Betsy, your turn.
Okay. This is near and dear to my heart because every vote that I have made, whether it was on Planning Commission or on City Council, I have voted my conscience. I used this analogy before. If I hold a quarter right in front of my eye, that's all I see is the quarter. If I hold the quarter out here, I see the quarter, which represents the issue, but I also see everything else around the quarter and what will be impacted and how the quarter will impact everything else, right? So that's how I research and study issues that come before City Council. I zoom in and I research, I dig deep, I ask a lot of questions, I have a lot of conversations, and then I zoom out and I try to consider how a decision on that issue is going to impact the community as a whole. I hold very strong to a moral and ethical code of behavior, of integrity, of honest and truthful information. And I do not vary from that for anyone, for anything, because the person that I am most accountable to is God. So I know that there have been decisions made that residents have disagreed with. Residents, for the most part, who have come to have a conversation with me about those decisions, either before or after. Even if we don't agree, we end up understanding one another and they know why I voted the way I voted, and that's important to me.
So that's a really good question in that I've been approached by multiple organizations that want to help me to be elected. And I've turned them all down. I've said, thank you. I don't want to be beholden to anyone so that they will sway the way I would vote. The only people that I want to represent are the people that live here in our city. I can put my own preferences aside. Like I say, I love mountain biking and I would love to have mountain biking trails in our city. But if that's not what the city wants, there's plenty of mountains around us and I can go mountain bike and do my thing. And I would be glad to do that. Like Betsy, I think that we need to make our decisions based on the principles that are guiding principles that will help us to get to where we want to go. And I think those are really well outlined in the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. And I would weigh those decisions that I would make if elected against that guiding set of principles each time that I made a decision.
So our country is a representative republic. That means we elect officials who we believe represent our values and our ideals, and we expect them to vote their conscience as long as it, agrees with what we think. And that's why we voted for them. So I would hope that if I do get elected, you're going to trust my judgment. However, I know that there's always more than two sides to every issue, and I'm not going to have support from everybody at all times. For the most part, I will do my research the way I have been doing, and I will make the best choice I can. However, if I'm seeing that the majority of the community says, you know what, you're wrong, and these are the reasons why, you need to vote the other way. And I sit down with them and say, you know what, I think I'm right, and these are the reasons why, and I can't convince them, and the majority is going against what I say, I think it's my responsibility to vote for them. I'm their representative. I'm here to do what they want me to do, not what I want to do. And so if we can't sway each other and I feel the majority wants what I don't want, then it's at that point, it's not a matter of what my conscience is or what my judgment is. It's what the community wants. That's what a representative is supposed to do, represent those who put them into office.
That was a great answer. That was exactly what I was going to say. This is a representative form of government. Yeah, thank you. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you are put in because of the values and everything else that you represent. There is never a time that I can go into Macy's or Stringham's or the post office or down to Murdoch's or anywhere and not talk to somebody for an extended amount of time. My wife says, don't keep talking to people that are there. That is the greatest information that you get. Those are the people that you're not going to call on the phone and everything else. Those are the people that you run into and they say, oh, wait a minute, I have something. That is a good representative. It's a good cross section for what's going on. The rest of them know my phone number. They know where I live and come and see me quite often. And I love that. I believe we will vote our conscience. I believe I can do that. I believe I am honest in all of my dealings. I believe that I can look at each of these individual aspects and represent the greatest majority of this city. I want to bring love into this city. I want to serve this city. I want to do the very best that I possibly can with every decision, no matter what. Thank you.
Well, I think so far, this is one of those issues where we're missing a lot of the opportunities that we have had For instance, on the active transportation survey that's running now and that closes tomorrow, it was never listed in our city newsletter. Neither was the Imagine Santaquin General Plan Update, not listed in the newsletter. Later, we get these postcards that I'm sure people might have disregarded, not thinking that it had much to do with anything, but we're missing opportunities to do easy things. There's an app that the city can pay $50 a month. I contacted the people, other cities in our county are using it. It's called the Assemble app. It's a survey tool. We can survey people who sign up, and it's an easy fill out a survey through a message. We can insert surveys into our city newsletter with the utility bill. We can talk to people. I think talking to people at the grocery store is great, but it's not enough. We need way more interaction, and we need to not shut it down. When people step forward and begin to interact, we need to foster that and embrace it, and we need to listen. It's totally critical to the future and happiness of the citizens of our community.
What more? Not everyone's had a chance yet. Oh.
Thank you. The question was, how do we set aside our biases and vote our conscience or vote to represent the people that have elected us? We each have our own set of values that we have inherited through life's experiences. We each have things that are important to us. We each have our own biases. We are products of our environment. We are products of our sociology, if you will. Recognizing those limitations as we view the issues that come before us, if we can step back. I like Betsy's analogy about the quarter. When I was working, they said, if you hold your thumb up and you can still see the natural gas leak, you're too close. Well, that perspective is also true. We need to step back away from the situation and look at the whole picture and how does it affect everybody? What is the best decision for the entire community? What's best for the city? I just think that with enough of life's experiences and different issues that we've run into in our life, that I have the ability to look past my own set of biases, but not my set of values.
Great job. Thank you so much. So our next question is, do you think our Main Street or downtown area is healthy and successful? And if not, what would you do to change that? We're going to come in the middle now.
That's something that I'd need more information on. I don't know that it's healthy and successful. Does the Santaquin pharmacy feel like they're doing well? Do the medical practices that are along the Main Street feel like they're doing well? Does the town like what's happening with our Main Street? I think we've done a lot of things to spruce it up. We've done a lot of things as a city to encourage commercial enterprise to be there. And I like that. I don't think it's the city's job to drag people in and say, go to work here. But I do think it is the city's job to be able to open things up so that they can feel like they can. And that when we as a city take care of our vendors, if you want to call them that, or our businesses, the word's going to get around and it's going to attract more businesses. And I'd like to see more businesses on Main Street. That's a hard puzzle to solve though, because we've got a Main Street that's a national highway and we've got other things going on there that need to be taken into consideration. So yes, I think we're doing good. Yes, I think we can improve. And I would need to listen to a few more people before I could suggest some better things there.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Main Street should be the heart of the city. That's where everyone should want to go, spend time, walk down the street, go to, patron the businesses that are there. They're doing okay. I've seen a lot of businesses in the last 12 years come in and out of the buildings there. Some of them have just moved one location to another, but it's still, they're not set and stable, and they haven't been there for decades and decades yet. And that's because we do need to work on building up how to make that a real Main Street commercial business area. Part of the problem is it's Highway 6. It's not a lot we can do on that street. We can't change much of it, but we can help promote businesses to come in. I have heard story after story from people who want to start a business there, and they get a proposal put together, and the city says, nope, you need to make these changes, and it doesn't even get to the planning commission. And that, in my opinion, is a problem. We're not being inviting enough to these businesses. We're putting in too much red tape for them to open up. We could have a lot more going on there if we sat down, looked at our commercial code, and took out what was unnecessary, and just let people open up their businesses and let the entrepreneurial spirit thrive in our town. We could be doing a lot more for that.
I want to say a couple of things. Main Street is kind of a mess right now. If you go there early in the morning or late at night, the traffic has got some issues. I think once we really get focusing on what we can do to change it, incorporate, add a little extra lane here or there, that is going to change that traffic pattern that comes through, provide new parking, open up some new areas that we could use for commercial businesses. Now, I don't know if you realize this, but we pay our property taxes, and it amounts to $1 million some odd thousand dollars a year for the whole of the city. More than twice that comes from the few businesses that we do have now. Wouldn't it be nice to focus and try to bring more businesses in to relieve the tax revenue problems that we have that pile upon ourselves? So look for businesses we could bring in there. Maybe we need to go into the zoning laws and see if we're flawed with some of the ways in which we're developing that under commercial with some kind of building that goes along with it. We need to evaluate those zoning laws or zoning ordinances very carefully so that we're not destroying this.
I think it's been disturbing to many of us how over the past few years, there've been a lot of attempts, some successful, some not, to rezone away from commercial. We need that commercial. It's critical to our tax base in our city. And so it's a key part of our future. As far as every time that pretty much I hear talk of downtown or a thriving downtown, it's interesting to me that that talk tends to come from city officials. They seem to be the ones, the Imagine Santaquin folks, who seem to be very much geared toward the narrative that the city is promoting so strongly. And with citizens, what I'm seeing is a real concern about the issues of traffic and excessive growth and too much density in our city. So on Facebook this week, the city operations manager was responding to a post and talking about how in order to have a thriving downtown area in that 8-block area in our city, it would take approximately 4,000 units within quarter mile basically to support that. I don't think there's a resident that I have talked to yet who would be on board with that. And that, again, the mayor should be the conduit of the will of the residents. And I'm not saying that that's what the residents want to have.
How do I feel Main Street's doing? I think we need to go ask the businesses that, but do we need to ask ourselves, do we support them? Do we go there and do we shop? Or do we get on the freeway and go someplace north? I think the city's done an excellent job in developing the area on the northeast part of Main Street where Macy's is and the other businesses that are coming in. I think the city has an excellent vision in trying to switch the walkability part of downtown Santaquin from Main Street to 100 South, where the museum and the new city hall will be. I think that will get walkability. It'll get the pedestrians off of a busy state road. That's going to be 4 lanes someday. And I think it's going to solve the problem. It'll give the community a place to gather together and that we can socialize. And I think we do need to do everything we can to attract more businesses to come into town. But it's the old saying that, if you build it, they will come. You hear a lot about rooftops. Businesses like a big box store is not going to come to Santaquin if they don't think that the residents, the financial support is here to warrant them building a store here. So we need to support the businesses.
So it's been really exciting the last few years to see all of the new businesses that have come into town. It has been such a gift and a blessing. And one of the goals when I ran for council 4 years ago to have a full service grocery store in town and to work toward a greater variety of services and amenities for our residents, right? So that they can stay in Santaquin more frequently. I agree with Art 100%. When we do have a choice, how often are we staying in Santaquin and supporting the local businesses that are here? The main street of my childhood doesn't exist in very many places anymore because the economy has changed, the market has changed, human behavior has changed. That said, I also really love the idea of moving our main thoroughfare, not thoroughfare, but our main business heart to 100 South and Center Street. The reason is because there are things that we have authority over. There are things that we do not have authority over. We do not have authority over Highway 6. We cannot just go add lanes. We cannot just go tear things up, but we did get grants that have moved projects by UDOT up in the queue so that we can have their partnership like we're required to do.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so our last question. What are some of the challenges that you see Santaquin facing in the coming years, and how would you approach those? Oh, sorry. Yep. I didn't hear the echo. All right. What are some of the challenges that you see Santaquin facing in the coming years, and how would you approach those? And I think let's see.
Okay, so some of the challenges, definitely how the city is growing. We need to, control how that's happening. We are still semi-rural, we are agricultural, there's a lot of farmland, a lot of orchards, and most people in town want to preserve that. I think the key to that is, the Imagine Santaquin project, how we're building up our new general plan and making sure that our city is zoned properly so that it all makes sense and is cohesive. Number one, keep those high density houses away from the farms. They are a threat to farmland. I've spoken to many farm owners. The more neighbors they have, the harder it is for them to do their job. So if we're gonna, if we need high density housing, it can't be near those orchards or anything like that. Help them promote their businesses. If we want to preserve them, we've, been throwing around the idea of agritourism for years. I think the Red Barn has done a great job with it. It's not just a farm, it's a destination. I mean, you can go there all year and they have something going on. We need to help the other farms promote the same type of thing, build up their businesses, diversify it, and make it something exciting that their kids are going to want to continue with so that they don't sell it off to a developer and just put up new houses. Let them keep it there and have it exciting for the next generation.
I think housing is one that everybody or developing is one issue that everybody's going to mention through this thing. And we need to get a handle on it. We need to understand the best way to grow and how the citizens of Santaquin want. That's going to be an issue. And we got to find a solution for it. And I want to work on that. Some of the other really big things that we're going to see in the next few years will be, how do we handle and pay for changes in the infrastructure that have to be changed? Now, some of it you can say through maintenance. If you say through tax dollars, that's a bad thing. However, there are things that we've got to figure out how to pay for. And I know that some will say, oh, this is no big thing. I had a day with the CUP a couple of months ago, and we discussed every facet of it, when it's going to come and what we're going to face. And even though there are not a lot of costs involved with some of the hookup and everything else, there's still the cost of the water. And there's a plan that needs to be put together for that, because that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that have to be paid every year for that water. Use it or lose it, no matter what. And we need a plan for that. I have some ideas. I want to share those ideas and work on them. And there's flooding to go with that as well, but not CUP flooding.
Yeah, the main recurring theme, growth. Openness in our city government, transparency, addressing our infrastructure needs, and building up our commercial base. These are all key, and these are all universal to any growing area, across the country. But there's a lot we can do, and a lot of this is tied to our code. Do we have the right provisions in place in our code? Do our ordinances reflect what the citizens want? At this point, as I'm reading through the very voluminous code, I keep coming across new things that astonish me. The Planning Commission is supposed to be the ones doing the general plan update. That is specifically assigned to them, but we farmed it out for $107,000 to an outside company that many people in our community are disturbed by the slant of the survey and the questions that are posed. And so these are disturbing things to us that need to be distressed. Again, if we take citizen feedback, we listen to the citizens, we communicate in every way possible that we have at our disposal, I think we can start to reestablish that trust that has always been a part of life in Santaquin, and we can build a future that benefits everyone.
What challenges is Santaquin facing? It's two-phased, in my opinion. It's growth and it's economic development. Growth has to be handled by proper zoning. It has to be handled by ensuring that there are enough single-family homes for people that want to buy a home that they can move into and have their own private yard, to have their own private space, not to be into a multifamily complex. The economic development comes by having businesses come to Santaquin and to grow, to have proper zoning so that there's enough area zoned for commercial development, that businesses larger than a pizza store or a car wash, something that takes up acres, has room to come in and build and increase and support our tax base.
This is another excellent question. There are many, many challenges that we are facing. The challenges we are currently facing, we're facing them boldly. They take time to create solutions to. They take effort. They take people showing up. And they do take resident input. They do take resident feedback. And when no feedback is given, the decisions still have to be made. And I really liked the statement that Lorraine made at the beginning, that what she was taught when she was young was, if you do not get involved in any level of government, you have no reason to complain. We have challenges with housing. We have challenges with pressures from the state legislature. We have challenges with growth. We have challenges with traffic. We have challenges with keeping the youth involved, getting the youth involved. We have challenges with infrastructure. Things are put in place right now that we are currently working on that are solutions to those. And I don't have time to explain all of the solutions. And we're still working on some of the solutions. But we are working on it. We're showing up. And those who have attended the committee meetings for the general plan, they were residents who were invited to participate, and some of them have just chosen not to. That's a challenge as well.
So from my perspective, some of the biggest challenges we're going to face are, we want to grow, but we want to keep our small town feel. We want to have amenities, but we want to have the agricultural pieces to our town stay where they're at. I grew up in Lehigh, and Lehigh is no longer Lehigh to me. I watched as families that I knew all my life lost their mink farms because the developments that were put in right next to them, like Jeff was saying, overran them, and you can't do anything about it. Go back a few years and you can see what happened to the dynamite plant when all of the development came in around it in Spanish Fork Canyon. So if we want to preserve the agriculture, we need to make sure that our zoning is correct. We need to look at how we're going to grow. We need to do it in a way that will encourage that commercial development, but also preserve our agricultural heritage. And I think, as everyone, pretty much everyone here has stated, there's been a lot of effort and work put into that. We need to look at the zoning. We need to look at what we want in the future, and we need to zone and plan appropriately, while also keeping an eye on the budget for the things that need to be taken care of right now. That's what I see.
Thank you very much. So we'd like to give each of our candidates 2 minutes for closing remarks. And let's see, we will start with the last one to start first.
You know, it's only 5 weeks until we get a chance to share our vote and think about everything that's been said by me and by the rest of these candidates, and they are all good people. And I just want to say that the ability to serve this city means that you're able to step up and face the issues and make the hard decision and do it for the best of the community. And sometimes it's not always what everybody wants, but it should be the vast majority of what we want. Does it fit in with everything that's even sitting on the table today? I would say not. There will be changes that come along, and we'll have to look at every one of those changes as they come along. And we'll have to get the data and analyze the data. And however we do that, it should be by multiple ways. It should be by discussions. It should be by inviting everybody that is interested to come in. And it is so important that every one of us that will be elected, us totally, not saying I'm going to be, but every one of us that is elected to this need to commit to take care of this city, to be able to work. And that's what my commitment is. My commitment is, I'm retired. I don't care about if I get a nickel from the city. I want to serve it. And that's because I've always wanted to serve this city. And I have done so for more than 40 years as a fireman and other things too. I understand what it's like to take the criticism from the general public, and I can live with that. I also know that people have needs. And I know that I can meet their needs or their expectations to the best of my ability. I want you to know that I will work my heart out to make sure that Santaquin gets the very best in decisions, in processes, in understanding. I love this place.
I thought I was gonna be last. That's fine. I didn't necessarily prepare anything. They did say that we'd have closing remarks, but I, didn't think too much about it. First off, I do want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and everyone who's been here, everyone who was here tonight, who showed up, and those who logged in online to watch it. We appreciate your participation. We're up here for you guys. So we're glad that you're here and you're listening and you're weighing what we have to say. Like I said, I'm running because I've had many people tell me my opinion matches theirs. They always feel like they're being attacked as the vocal minority in the city. And then, things happen and it proves that they were the majority and they wanted that voice represented. I'm hoping I can be that voice. I can be that representative for them. And that if I do get elected, everyone knows that my door will always be open. Just like every other city council member, my contact information will be posted online on the website, and I will remain constantly engaged as much as I can on Facebook, via email, via text, anything that you need. I value my ability to research issues and research subjects, research everything that comes across. And the more feedback I get from the city, from the residents, the better I'll be able to do that. And so I just want to let everyone know that if I am lucky enough to be on the council, just contact me for anything. If there's a hole in the street that you don't like, let me know and we can get it fixed. If I can, I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can to do that. But I'm just here to serve and make sure that the city is the city that we want it to be. And it just seems like in the past few years, it's heading in one direction, and we just kind of want to course correct and put it back on what the long-term residents feel that it should be.
I'd like to thank everyone for letting us come and represent ourselves and kind of speak our minds about what we think about how we would represent the city and what we would like to do and what we'd like to see. I appreciate everyone taking the time and giving us this opportunity. I'm like Jeff. I want to represent, and Dan and everyone else here, I want to represent our city, the citizens of our city. I want to play a part in that because, as has been said, if you're not part of it, then you can't really complain. So I have the ability to research things, I have the ability to listen, I have the ability to find those paths and those ways, those solutions to problems that will most benefit the most people. I have the ability to put myself aside when it comes to that and vote as a representative of our city, our citizens. I've had a long work history of working with lots of different organizations, big and small, little cities, state governments, US government. I realize there's red tape. I realize there's difficult pathways. I think I have the stamina to be able to take those paths and get the job done. I'm looking forward to representing my friends who have encouraged me to run. Thank you very much for that. The people that I've talked to, we see some things that need to be changed and we'd like to have that representation there. And I would be honored to be that representative. And thank you so much.
I'm going to stand up too. I need to get my circulation going a little bit. Before I ran for city council, I coached kids' soccer teams. I volunteered for different organizations in the city. I helped with kids' summer camps. I served on the planning commission. I helped on the general plan committee. And then even when I decided to run, I still wondered, am I ready? Do I know enough? Have I served enough to ask the residents to entrust me with this role? We've heard some different opinions tonight. We've heard some similar opinions. Some of those opinions have experience to back them up, and some of them do not have experience to back them up. All of the opinions are valid. I would like the residents to think about what kind of representation they would like. I read something fascinating the other day. Did you know that in a honeybee's entire lifetime, they produce 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey? They fly hundreds and hundreds of miles collecting pollen for 1/12 of a teaspoon in their entire life. So of course, that means it takes 12 honeybees to produce 1 teaspoon of sweet, delicious honey, right? There are so many people in this city who make their contribution, who do their part. I watch and observe the time and effort that every city employee puts into their job to support residents in this city, and I am forever grateful to have had the opportunity to observe and witness that. They are a small army so that all the residents of the city can enjoy the sweet honey. And I hope for the opportunity to continue serving, but I will be forever thankful for every opportunity I've already had. Thank you.
I'm Art Adcock. Your vote is one of the most important possessions that you have, and I understand that. It's humbling for me to ask for you to share that with me, but I'm asking for your vote. It is concerning to me that only 30% of the registered voters voted in the primary election. I hope attendance tonight is not representative of how many people are going to participate in the general election. You should receive those ballots in the mail sometime around the middle of October. Some votes weren't counted because they weren't signed. Some weren't counted because the signatures didn't match what was on file. But 24 of them were not counted because they were returned late. If you want your vote to count, you have a couple of choices. You can mail it a week ahead of time before the election on November 2nd, or you can drop it in the box. It's by the front door of the Public Safety / City Hall building, 275 West Main. That way you can ensure that your vote is counted. Santaquin is a wonderful place to live. It is going to grow. Growth can be managed. I'm very proud of what the city has done. I'm very pleased with what I see the city staff and the current city council and mayor doing, and I want to be part of continuing the success. I'm very grateful that the city has a 35% rainy day fund, which is the maximum that's the state allows. We are financially in very good shape. I'm proud that the city has done that, and I'm grateful that they have. I ask for your vote. I will do my best to represent you in making decisions that are best for the entire community. We're fortunate to have a 3-story public safety building. We're very fortunate to have a wastewater treatment facility, one of the very best and most efficient in the community, where 90% of the water that's processed is reclaimed. Thank you.
I'll stand up too. I think that's a great idea. Loosen our joints. I'm running because I believe in solutions. I believe that we can address problems. We can fix things. I believe that the future of Santaquin can be brighter than it's ever been. Our city is filled with amazing people. We have a cross section of people who are stepping up and putting the time and effort into trying to work for the things that they believe in. I think that's huge. But there are a lot of people who are too busy to, sorry, the mic. There are a lot of people who are too busy to sit through hours of city meetings, to perhaps volunteer at this point in their lives. People have different seasons of their lives, and at different times, we're able to contribute service in different ways. So what I've been able to do so far by providing summaries that are available to people through Facebook or email is help chop down that amount of time that it takes to get informed. As mayor, I can do that even more effectively. The mayor is not a voting member of the council, but the mayor sets the agenda. And at a time when we need a course correction, when we need to amend the way we're going so that we can have that bright future that citizens want, it will be the mayor who will be setting that course, who will be bringing the items to the attention of the city council. We can fix errors in the code. We can address things that are not being enforced. We can make sure that we have resident input, and that not only do we have that input, but that we listen to it and we act on it. I think one of the reasons we don't have more resident involvement is because they haven't felt heard and responded to. That can change, and I can help do it.
Thank you so much. We want to be sure and thank, again, all of our candidates. And all of you that are here, all of you that are watching on Zoom, you have a wonderful opportunity to contribute to your community by casting your vote. So please be sure and take advantage of that wonderful opportunity and that right. Thank you again, candidates, for letting us ask you these questions and for your willingness to serve.